Hi everybody, welcome back to Sunshine Soap and Candle Company. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a dessert candle. You may be familiar with my first dessert candle video tutorial where I showed you how to make a candle piping the candle wax using the Soy Bliss wax. That's a paraffin and soy blended wax. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a dessert candle using 100% soy wax. I'm also going to be making these candles wickless candles, and we're going to be talking a lot about the pros and cons of both wickless candles and wicked candles. In this video today, I'm going to be giving you a full visual step-by-step process and tutorial. I'm also going to be sharing this formula in the description box below so you can recreate it if you like. And for my Patreon campaign this week, I'm going to go ahead and write up the recipe as well with percentages and amounts, and also a full detailed step-by-step written tutorial of how to make these. These are perfect for the holidays, so I really hope you enjoy this video. If you like this type of content, you'll love my Patreon campaign, and if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, I really hope that you will. I'll place the link to my campaign in the description box below. I post weekly formulas and tutorials over there. We've been doing it for 5 years, so there's hundreds of recipes right at your fingertips. Just at the $5 level, you have access to almost everything I've ever published over there. Come over and see what thousands of other makers have really come to enjoy about my campaign. All right, let's get started. Alright, so like I mentioned at the top of the video here, we're going to be using 100% soy wax. And my wax of choice today is Soy Wax 444, and I got this one from Nature's Garden. I've had it for quite some time, although I think you can get it at other candle supply stores as well. And we're going to be using 2 straight-sided vessels. So the bottom half of my candles are going to be roughly 14 ounces combined. So we're going to weigh off 14.4 ounces of wax to divide between the bottom half of 2 candles. So my candle vessels are 16 ounces each, and we're using 90% wax and about 10% fragrance. I'll go over that again when we get to that point. So the bottom half of 2 candles is 14.4 ounces of wax. This is a little bit of an experiment as well, you guys, because I have not tried the fragrance that I'm using today with this particular wax. I have tried it with the Soy Bliss wax, the paraffin and soy wax that you can now get at Hive and Honey, and it just didn't have a great throw, but it seems to get really good reviews in 100% soy wax, so we're going to give it a try, and I'll be sharing my results with you as well. But mainly I wanted to share with you how to create a dessert candle and how to do the piping, and I will be sharing with you all the results of my findings after we place it onto the candle warmer and everything like that. So we're going to go ahead and melt down this wax to 185 degrees. I'll bring you right back when we're all melted down. All right, my wax is all melted down now. We're sitting right at 192 degrees, which is perfect because I want to add a little bit of color before we add our fragrance, and we're just using a little liquid yellow candle dye here. This one comes from Sierra Candles. I'm just going to be using, I'm going to use 2 drops. I want kind of a nice bright yellow. I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. Now with this 444 wax, the manufacturer's directions are to add the fragrance right away after you reach 185 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick temperature read. Soy wax can be a little bit more particular. We're at 186 with when you add in fragrance and all of that. So I want to make sure I'm following the directions on this one perfectly. It can be a little bit more finicky. So today we're using Limoncello Creme fragrance oil. This comes from Candle Science, and it smells so good. We're going to be adding in 1.6 ounces of fragrance. That's a 10% fragrance content. So we're going to go ahead and add this in. It smells really tart and lemony, but also kind of has that, it has like a little bit of the lemon bitters, like a limoncello. So it's not overly sweet, but it definitely has some like gourmand notes to it as well. Really, really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a good stir. We're gonna stir this really well to combine. A wickless candle can be a great idea for this type of candle, and that is for several reasons. So the first being, when you're actually making the candle, the wick can get in your way. When you're piping the candle wax, which we're going to be doing today for the top half of these candles, it can be difficult to pipe around the wick. The second thing is I've always noticed with dessert candles that they just don't really burn properly. So we're going to be whipping a lot of air into the top half of the candle. So what happens then when you light a candle with a wick in it on a dessert type candle, you get a really high flame because there's so much air whipped into the product. So you don't really get a perfect burn. So this might help with your scent throw to have a candle without a wick, and you just place it on a candle warmer and it melts down the wax and fills the room with an aroma. Also, just the benefits of having a wickless candle in general means that you're not going to accidentally catch anything on fire. You can also get candle warmers with timers. So there's lots of good reasons to have a wickless type candle, and aesthetically it's nice for these types of candles. I think you have room for more embeds and such on the top when you don't use a wick. All right, we're going to go ahead and pour the wax into these containers. We're going to go about halfway up on each container. We're just going to eyeball it. I'm sitting at 145 degrees. The actual directions for this wax say to pour it when the wax appears slushy for best glass adhesion, but I find if you're in the 150-ish range or to 160 range with this wax that you do fine. It could be just environmental, like depending on where you live, and also the ambient temperature in your home. So we're just going to go ahead and give this a pour. And honestly, like after all these years of candle making, those little wet spots and such you get on the glass where it doesn't adhere properly, they're almost impossible to avoid, especially with 100% soy wax. So I just don't get hung up on it if it doesn't look totally perfect. So we're just going to go ahead and pour in about halfway up. It's so weird to pour a candle without a wick in it. It's very, it's just kind of odd. Just when you've been doing it one way for so long, like. That's a nice bright yellow color. Of course, that will fade out to a light color once this fully cures. A lighter yellow. All right, so we're going to stop right there. We're going to allow these to set up some, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to make the wax for the actual piping on the top. So I don't know how well you can see this, but I wanted to share with you that as the candle starts to look a little slushy or kind of opaque, this is a great time to start preparing the wax for the piping. And by the way, my house smells amazing right now, so I have high hopes for this wax and fragrance combination. But if you can see, it looks a little slushy. We've got some spots where it's looking a little bit more opaque, so it's time to go ahead and prep the piping wax. I already have it weighed off. I'm just going to go ahead and melt it down, and then I'm going to pour it into this container and get it ready for whipping and piping. All right, so I've melted down the wax for the piping, or the second half of the candle, and I've already added in my fragrance oil at the same rate. So this is 14.4 ounces of wax to 1.6 ounces of fragrance, making it 90% wax and 10% fragrance. And we didn't add any color to this half because I just want the piping to be white. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to pour it into this mixing bowl here, and then I'm going to allow this wax to set up to a slushy consistency or partially set up like this before we start whipping. Let's go ahead and pour it in. And then we're just going to check it every few minutes for the right consistency before we start whipping it, and I'll bring you back to show you what that looks like in just a few minutes. All right, so my wax is starting to take on a little bit of an opaque and slushy kind of appearance here. It's probably not exactly time to start whipping it, but I want to make sure we're getting the wax well combined and sort of homogeneous, and I don't want any chunks in there. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a mix here with my blend, with my electric mixer here, and see how we're doing. We're sitting at right around 100 degrees Fahrenheit exactly. So we're just going to put it on low. I'm going to give it a little bit of a blend. I'm going to stop right there and just allow this to set up a little bit more before we continue whipping. It's still too loose to turn the blender up to medium, so we're just going to give this another few minutes to kind of solidify, and I'll bring you back for the next step. All right, so now as you can see, the wax has taken on more of an opaque look and it's thickening up. So we're just going to take our mixer now and blend it on medium to high speed just to get this nice and whipped, kind of like a buttercream consistency, but it won't be exactly like that because it is wax. At the end of the day, it's not going to stay soft like that. So we're going to go ahead and place this on medium. I'm just going to start whipping some air into it. We're getting some soft peaks here. All right, so the wax is taking on a thick consistency now, and we're almost ready. We just want to make sure that it's holding stiff peaks. And just to give you a temperature read here, we're sitting still right around 100 degrees. Of course, the whipping will make it a little bit warmer just because the mixer does warm up a little bit. So it's kind of a balance between not getting the wax too warm that it's not setting up properly. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and continue whipping until we are ready to put it into the piping bag. All right, we're ready to go ahead and transfer this into our piping bag here. You'll know when it begins to kind of hold stiff peaks like this, and it just becomes like light and fluffy looking. It's still slightly runny, but I like to put it in the piping bag when it's still slightly loose like this. That way it doesn't set up so fast when you're trying to pipe your wax. So we're going to go ahead and get our piping bag filled. And I'm just using this kind of like floral looking piping tip here. And I'm just going to go ahead and start spooning it in. By the way, everybody, all of this whipping and mixing and not following manufacturer's directions on the use of this wax will affect the way that the scent throws. So this bottom half of the candle was poured exactly like manufacturer directions. The top half, because we're piping and we're making it real decorative, obviously is not following manufacturer's directions. So just in my experience, the dessert candles don't really have great scent throw until you get to about the bottom half of the candle where it's been poured and made to manufacturer's directions. So I'm hoping the wickless candle and the use of the wax or the candle melter, the candle warmer, will kind of help that a little bit. So just pressing this down to the bottom. Okay. And we are ready to pipe, so I'm going to just go ahead and start putting my piping towards the edge of the glass first. It's so pretty. It looks like a lemon meringue almost. And fill in the middle here. And then I'm just going to fill in the top. So this wax is definitely easier to pipe. You can whip most waxes because essentially they are all made up of oils and fats. But I will say that some waxes are a bit easier to pipe because they don't set up as quickly. There's candle number 1. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside and bring this one here, and we'll do the same. So this particular wax stays pipeable for a long time, which is nice. Okay, now I've made these really cute little embeds to place on top. I'm gonna go ahead and bring those in. So cute, it just looks like a beautiful like lemon meringue. And I have these cute little embeds here I'm gonna go ahead and place on the top. So I've made these lemon wedges. So we're gonna go ahead and now I may just have to pipe it looking at myself, or not pipe it, I might have to place these embeds kind of looking at what I'm doing here and then flip it around just to make sure I'm getting them placed where I want. I did dust these little lemon slices with yellow mica. That's another thing with the wickless candles. You don't have to worry about how much color and mica you're using. You won't clog the wick because there is no wick. So sometimes if you use too much color or too much mica in a candle, that can really choke your wick and clog it up. Oh, these are going to be so cute. So I've made quite a few little embeds here. I don't think I'm going to use all of them because I want to use some of these little yellow round balls here. I'll put a pink one. I dusted these with Summer Crush mica and also gosh, was it Sunshine Yellow mica? Sunshine Yellow, I think, both from Nurture Soap. So I think that's going to be it. I'll flip these around so you can see what they look like. And then I believe we're going to go ahead and dust a little bit of glitter on the top just to finish them off. But isn't that so cute? Don't those look adorable? Okay, so just to finish these off, we're going to go ahead and place a little bit of glitter on the top. I'm using a little bit of this Carnival Blend Bio Glitter by Fizz Fairy. Just to top it off. It's so cute. And some people have asked me about packaging on these. So these containers do come with a lid. These are great for candle making because they can take high heat up to about 900 degrees Fahrenheit, so you don't have to worry about them cracking or breaking. Obviously the lid is not going to fit on top of these, but I have seen people package these in cute little like popcorn snack containers, and you can get decorative ones. I'm also going to top this a little bit with Cotton Candy by Fizz Fairy. And this is like a real lightweight little powdery type kind of glitter. Anyway, I've seen people wrap these up in like, I guess, tissue paper kind of up and around to protect it, and then place that in like a snack or a popcorn container. And there you go, everybody. That's how you make a wickless dessert candle. Stay tuned. I'll show you how this works in a candle warmer.